I am pregnant with my first child and don't know the gender because I want to keep it a surprise, but my in-laws are being overbearing with their requests and are demanding to know the gender of our child ahead of time because they are scared it'll be a girl. Posted by you/adorable_willow_4984. I'm a 27-year-old woman and have been married to my husband, who is 28, for 2 years. I am currently 22 weeks pregnant with our first child. We decided we wanted to keep the gender a surprise, as it did not matter to us, and we would be happy either way. The issue, however, is my mother-in-law. There is a slight cultural divide here. I'm Caucasian while she and my father-in-law are Chinese. My husband is their only child and was born here a few years after they immigrated. I'm the youngest of 6 girls, seriously, have no idea how my parents did not kill us growing up, lol, and my mother-in-law and father-in-law never miss a chance to talk about what a shame it is that my parents never had a boy. They say that having so many girls makes it clear they are unlucky, while bragging about the fact that they had a son on their first try. This gets to me, but I have heard it a million times before, so I mostly ignore it. When we were just dating, my then boyfriend, now husband, explained that it is just a cultural point of view for them to see male children as the goal. And to give him credit, he always shuts them down when the conversation starts going in that direction, though they always end up bringing it up another time. Now that I am pregnant, she is pressuring us to tell her the gender. She was not happy when she found out we wanted it to be a secret and actually cried over us keeping such important information from her. She insists it is important that we know the gender of the baby. I will not lie, I have a slight fear about how she will react if it is a girl, based on her comments about me and my sisters in the past. My father-in-law, meanwhile, is backing up my mother-in-law and scolding my husband constantly for upsetting his mother like this. I know he hates upsetting them and is starting to cave from the pressure. I really do not want to tell her until the baby is here, but I feel like a jerk, as I know it is getting to my husband. He has not once complained and is always shielding me from their scolding in this, but I can tell it is getting to him. I am beginning to wonder if I should just cave and find out so we can tell them and they will stop putting pressure on us, and deal with the issues that could come up later if it is a girl. But I hate that I am being pushed to this choice. Am I the jerk for not wanting to tell my mother-in-law the gender of my unborn child? Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Not the jerk. They are trying to wear you down to get what they want. I'm sure it's really tough, but don't give in to them. If you do, this will be the pattern for the rest of your lives. I really cannot wrap my brain around people who act like them. It's not their baby and not their decision. And if I understand correctly, it's not like you're withholding info, you and your husband don't even know. Commenter 2. I agree. It'll reinforce the idea to the in-laws that they can just wear her and her husband down enough for them to cave in. It's a very common Asian parenting tactic, and my Asian parents are the same. For Asians, everything is a family matter. Older Asian adults always need to have a say over everything: what you eat, what you wear, who you date, why you're out after 6 p.m., etc. It's the toxic family-centric culture at play. Not the jerk for op. Tell them that they're disappointing their son by thinking he won't be able to produce a son of his own. Op's response. That is a good line that I may very well steal. Honestly, you're absolutely right about it being a common parenting tactic used by Asian parents, as everything you've said I've seen firsthand. They hated him dating me because I wasn't Chinese at first, then doubly hated it when they learned I was one of 6 girls. He eventually got them to back off on this matter. I don't know exactly what he said, as I wasn't present for that conversation, but I believe it was a threat about it being me or no one at all. He ended up staying with me for a week after that and going zero contact with them to show he was serious. Commenter 2. Yeah, Asian parents care more about how others perceive their family, and that's why they're very strict about how their kids present themselves. On the other hand, it's also their greatest weakness, because if their kids start putting their foot down, it jeopardizes what others will say about them and their kids. Invoking your husband's image and what their treatment will say about their family is likely to get them to shut up. I can't tell you how much that has worked against my parents and grandparents. Op's response. I'm very aware of this fact, lol. My husband actually doesn't want our child to have a Chinese name or learn Mandarin. He hates speaking Mandarin and basically never uses it unless he's talking to his parents, and even then they communicate 60% of the time in English. He doesn't want to inflict it on our child. I've gotten him to agree to a Chinese name simply because I know they will freak the F out if the kid doesn't have one, as it's all about image, and how bad would it look if their grandchild doesn't have a Chinese name. But it'll basically never be used, and we'll use their English name. The Mandarin, however, I'm letting him take the lead on, as he knows firsthand what learning it felt like for him. Though we've agreed that if our child shows interest in learning when able to communicate that, we'll give them the opportunity to do so. Update 1 day later. So my mother-in-law and father-in-law came around this morning for tea, uninvited as usual, of course, and began to apply their pressure again to demand the gender of the baby. I was ready to step in, worried about my husband, as I know this has been a lot of pressure for him, but he surprised me by snapping at them. I have never seen him truly angry with them before. The only time I have ever heard of him being truly angry was when he fought with them over dating me, as they did not approve since I was not Chinese, but I was not there for that conversation, so this took me by surprise. To summarize, he told them that our child's gender was none of their business, and that if they kept this up, then any future sons we have will take my maiden name, since I have no brothers to carry on the family name, as they keep reminding me. He then told them not to test him, as he would burn their family tree to the ground. I do not know who was more shocked, them or me. He then told them to get out, and they did leave, although my father-in-law scolded him for being disrespectful and not putting family first. So it seems my concern was unwarranted, and my husband is fine. Top/relevant comments. To a comment saying his husband loves her very much. I've never once doubted he loves me, but this honestly shocked me. I know how much the family line means in his culture, so for him to make this kind of threat? The weight of it isn't lost on me. They also seemed genuinely terrified by that threat. Though my father-in-law did scold him as they left, it lacked the usual heat. I feel sorry for her too, despite all of this, and I hope she'll come around someday. Commenter. Bro. That was hot. Ops response. Imagine how I felt, never been more attracted to him. If I weren't already pregnant, no doubt I would be soon enough lol. Second update 3 years 4 months later. Hello everyone. 3 years ago I made this post about my first pregnancy on Ida relating to the fact that my Chinese mother-in-law was pushing to know the gender of my unborn child, and I felt guilt over the strain this was putting on my husband. I am currently 19 weeks pregnant with my second child, a bit of an unplanned surprise, as we had planned to wait until our daughter was a little older to have a second child, but it was not an unhappy surprise. This pregnancy has caused me to reflect on my first one, and I remembered my post. I went hunting for it and luckily remembered my password. I doubt anyone here cares much, but I am in a reflective mood, so I thought I would post an update 3 years on. If anyone wants to read it, then I hope you enjoy. Yes, my husband and I had a little girl. It has been incredible watching him grow from the amazing man I love into an amazing father, and she is very clearly the greatest joy in his life. We had a long conversation not long after she was born, and he actually ended up going to therapy to reconcile his feelings about his parents and his culture. He originally did not want her to know any language but English and basically wanted to ignore his side of the culture, but he eventually realized, thanks to therapy, that he was robbing her of a chance to have a more diverse view of the world and that his experiences with his culture may not be hers. Through our daughter, he has gotten to see his culture through a fresh set of eyes, and it is like he is discovering it himself for the first time. My mother-in-law and father-in-law, as you no doubt expect, were not happy that we had a daughter and began to push us to try again to have a son almost immediately. My husband and they began to clash more and more as their behavior became abusive towards me and our daughter, and 2 years ago we cut contact with them. We are happier for it and do not live in fear that they will drop around without warning and turn our whole day upside down. Rereading some of the old comments on my original post makes me smile, and my husband is laughing over how many of them were thirsting over him after he clashed with his parents originally. Thank you, everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful day and enjoy my rambled reflection on the past 3 years. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Such a wholesome post. Strange to read it in this sub, but nevertheless amazing. Ops response. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I honestly forgot about my original post for a long time until I began to reflect on my first pregnancy and how much more peaceful this one is. I figured I'd post a little update, not expecting it to get much attention. Op on the in-laws. We have no intention of letting them back into our lives, don't worry. We've moved twice since we cut them off, and they have no idea I'm even pregnant again. Commenter 2. Are you having a boy or a girl? Ops response. We're leaving it another surprise. We don't care, so long as they're healthy. However, this is our last child, even if it's another girl. I grew up with 5 sisters, and I know the chaos of a too-large household, so one thing I've put my foot down about from the start is 2 children only, barring a surprise multiple pregnancy, of course, which thank God this isn't.